Welcome to Tuesday, Year 6. Hopefully you enjoyed creating your setting yesterday for your poem based on the Jabberwocky. Today we're going to create and describe a creature which would fit in our setting. So we're going to listen to the poem again and see what evidence we can find to describe any of the three creatures which appear in it. There was a Bandersnatch, a Jubjub bird and the Jabberwock. Jot down any ideas you have on the grid. You can print the grid off from the website, or you can just jot down your ideas on a piece of paper, or if you're working in a book. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wave. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the mom raths outgrabe. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the Jubjub bird, and shun the frumious Bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand, long time the maxim foe he sought. So rested he by the tumtum tree, and stood a while in thought. And as in uffish thought he stood, the Jabberwock, with eyes of flame, came whiffling through the tulgey wood, and burbled as it came. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through the vorpal blade went snicker, snack. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back. And hast thou slain the Jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy. O frabjous day, callooh, callay, he chortled in his joy. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wave. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the mom raths outgrabe. So I wonder what you found out about the Bandersnatch, Jubjub bird and Jabberwock. I'm going to share some of my ideas about the Bandersnatch. Frumious. It's described as frumious. Is it a mixture of fuming and furious? It makes me wonder if the creature is extremely cross. I think it likes to take things from people too, unpleasantly, because of the word snatch, which means grab in a rude way. When I look at the beginning of the word bander, if I shorten it, I get the word band. So it made me wonder whether it makes a lot of noise when it takes things from people. Keeping with that word band, a homophone of band is band with a double N in the middle. So it makes me wonder whether the creature likes to take things which don't belong to it. Finally, the poet tells us to shun the creature. The line, shun the frumious Bandersnatch. Now, shun means ignore or avoid, so it really can't be a very nice creature. I wonder what your grid says, and I wonder what you think of the Jubjub bird and the Jabberwock. So the main part of the lesson today is thinking about what type of creature might you find in your setting from yesterday. If you have people around you, you might want to discuss it with them. Jot down any initial ideas you have and we'll come back to them later in the lesson. I've popped some of the pictures from yesterday on the screen, but if you have a different picture, use that one. Okay, so thinking about yesterday, you might remember that I decided that my poem was going to be set in a cave, and I used a mixture of portmanteau words and nonsense words to describe that. Next, I need to think of three creatures which would appear in this cave, or that might live there. And I have to say I've enlisted the help of George and Sam, and together we've come up with the Arkmar bird, the Slubberwick, and the Tickywhip. Okay, it's really important that when you're creating your creatures, you check the number of syllables in their names. I noticed that Jubjub bird, Jabberwock, and Bandersnatch all have 3 syllables in their names. Therefore, when I was creating my creatures with George and Sam, I made sure that they all had 3 syllables in. As you can see, Arkmar bird, Slubberwick, and Tickywhip. This will make writing your poem on Wednesday far easier. Introducing the Slubberwick. Okay, so with your main character, your main creature, we'd now like you to think about the different features and characteristics it has. You can see that George has drawn me a Slubberwick. It has sharp horns which inject their enemies with powerful poison, extendable legs which can make it rise to twice its height when needed to tower over other creatures and hunters. It makes a strange whistling, sighing sound when it moves and almost bounces along as it takes in air through minuscule holes in its long body. Out of its mouth comes purple fluorescent slime which burns and is produced inside the body. It has eyes like death which hypnotise you. It also has new eyes which grow as it gets older so it can see everything. They have different strengths. Some are for close-up and some for long distance. There were lots of other ideas we had about the Slubberwick, but you can add as many different ideas to your diagram as you'd like. Okay, so your task today, we'd like you to create and name 3 creatures to include in your version of the poem. However, you're only going to choose one to develop in more detail. Annotate it using words and phrases, not sentences, like I explained in the slide before. Think about using words you know, nonsense words and portmanteau words. When you describe your creature, consider the way it would move, what it would look like, and what it sounds like. Think about the word classes which would help you describe it. Finally, when you've finished, a few things to think about. What is the name of your creature? Have you made sure that is on your piece of work? Have you described its appearance, how it moves and what it sounds like? Does it suit your setting? If you can, share it with someone at home. What image does it create in their head? And lastly, we would love to see your creations, so email them to your class teacher so we can share them with your class.